You guys, so as we've talked about a couple times, it has become seed saving time. So we're going to look at different types of seeds that can be saved and talk about similar types of seeds. So right now we're going to, you remember my seed farm? So I took those pots and I planted up a bunch of stuff to see if it would go to seed so I could collect seeds. Most has been hugely successful, and we're going to go check out some of that right now. So today we're going to talk about saving seeds from pods. And I don't mean pod people pods, ha ha. I mean seeds that grow in pods. These are some of those runner beans that we've looked at. These are not quite dry yet, but we'll open that up to take a look. But this is one of my first seed farm seed containers. It is daikon radish. Let's take a look at this. Alright, so I'll link that video that we did talking about why I'm doing this, but let's take a look at these. So this plant in here is a daikon radish. There's actually 3 of them in there, and they give off a radish you can eat, which is down inside there. Leaves, it's fall, so this is starting to come back. Leaves that you can eat as a green. They also grow these pods, and when they're young and green, you can use them in stir fries and eat them like a pea. You can fry up the whole thing and eat it. But when they get older, like this, they harden, and then you break open the pod, and if it wasn't rotted, there would be seeds in there. Let's open up this one. So you see these brown, these brown guys? This is a daikon radish seed. So there's several in here. Inside of these, it's kind of like a styrofoamy material. And you'll see there's four or five seeds in there. So we're going to collect these seeds, save them to plant next year. And we also did the same thing to several different kinds of plants, but today we're talking about our pods. So yep, there's some more seeds. And what I'm going to do is recycle a container. Don't judge. No judgment here. Daikon radish. So I'm going to pick the dried pods, put them in here, and then when I'm sitting around, when they're all nice and dry, most of these are pretty darn dry though, I will go through them while I'm there watching TV and put the seeds out. Make sure they're dry, and then I'll put them away. So I'll just keep plucking away at this until it's done, and then we'll go look at another kind of pod. So what does a plant look like before the pod is produced? So how do you know this plant is going to have a pod? See these pretty yellow flowers? This is a mustard green. It's in one of my raised beds. It's got a partner over here. And this is also a plant that gives pods. So let's take a look at this. And I think I'm going to have to tear one of these off so you can actually see it. So what I'm going to do is tear this off here with both hands. And we can come over to the table and talk about it. Mustard greens get nice big leaves, and they're usually pokey on them. They grow wild here, but you can also plant them. I eat them a lot. This is what a bug-ridden leaf looks like. It's in the fall, though, so it's not quite as pokey. But they're significant, like you pick it up and you think you've got a stinging nettle situation with the pokes just on the back side. But once you cook it, it's wonderful, and the pokies go away. So we don't mind getting poked, and it doesn't hurt like stinging nettle. Don't worry about that. So this is, I'll put it down, a mustard plant. This is the top of it. So this is a stem, comes out of the root. It'll make these small leaves, and eventually these leaves will get to be this size, right? And if you go to the tippy top, you'll see there's this beautiful flower on it. And once it flowers, this little stem happens, right? And then there's the flower. The stem happens and there's a flower. And then if you work your way down, you'll see these are still those stems, but the flowers have fallen off of them. But if we keep going down, you'll see they get thicker and thicker. And here's it's still pretty thin because this is a young plant, but you can see how this is a lot thicker than just one of these little mealy. Here, we'll pull it and show you side by side. So you see how this is thicker? So what's happening here is this is a pod. It's creating a pod. This is a female flower. It's been pollinated and now it's giving a pod. And I'll go show you some very mature pods I have. I actually picked them in, early spring this last year. I leave these out just all year round because they do give me spinach most of the year, or greens most of the year. But inside we'll open it up just like the other pod we did, and we'll see lots of little seeds. And this is actually, mustard seed, so you can save it and grow mustard from it, or you could make mustard from it. You can make yellow mustard or like a Dijon mustard. I made a whole grain mustard last year, and I'll link the video around somewhere. I used some of my own seeds, but I wanted a dark seed, so I actually had to buy them instead of growing them. But this year, I don't know, maybe these will be darker seeds. So this is what this looks like young, and this is how most pods happen. You'll get a flower. The stem of the flower will get fatter and fatter and fatter and turn into a pod. And now let me show you what it looks like when it's really mature. And one of these plants is going to give off a lot of pods. So let's go check it out. Alright, so now we're in the old high tunnel, the old greenhouse. And you'll see these. I just pulled a few mustard plants from last year. Let's take a look at them. Alright, so you can see each one of these long stems previously had a flower on it, and then you get down and you see one of these bigger pods. I'm down here on this paper toweling so you can look at it. Okay, so I've taken one of these pods and just opened it up, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then one up here, 6 seeds. Here's the one I just pulled off. Here's another one here. Let's open it up. Let's see how many seeds we have in here. When they're small like this, they're harder to open, but you can see. Now I got some jumping because I'm getting impatient. So that pod had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and I think a couple jumped off. And of course, the bigger the pod, let me see if I can open that up. So you saw that, I hope. Look at all those inside this pod. So all of these, tons of seeds. Again, you can use this for mustard, as the seasoning spice, make it into the condiment, or keep these to replant. So now let's go look at the radish pods. Alright, again, so this is the pot for the red globe radish, and it looks just like the daikon, except these pods are fatter. I don't know why, but they are. But if we let them dry and open them up, we will see. We'll see a seed. Let's see if we can get that seed out of there. It was a bigger seed. Oh, yeah. So there's that seed. Right there, and it's a much bigger one than the other one was. Put that back in there. See if we. Yep, there's a few more seeds in here. 3, so there was 4 altogether. But you can see, nice and big. So that's just another kind of pod. So I'll make a list of all the things that grow from pods, and again, it will flower. The female flower will become fertilized, and produce a pod. Again, these are edible in this young green stage, like right here, right now. We could eat that. Fry it, put in a stir fry or something. Take a look at the inside. Nice and green. And they have a very mild radish taste, but they're kind of fun to add, especially if you leave the tail on. Something different. Anyway, so there's pods for you. That's how to let them dry, get the seed out, and at this point, because they're so dry, you could just even put the seed in an envelope if you wanted to, and just put it away in a drawer somewhere. So, success so far on the pod farming. Now let's go look at flower farming, or farming seed collection from flowers.